All right, I'm gonna keep this one very quick. I know a lot of you guys like the 10-minute videos, but I also like making shorter ones so they're more consumable and easy for you guys to understand. And I also don't want to make a 10-minute video about a subject that can be covered in 5 minutes. So, what we're gonna talk about today are why certain players on Top Shot, in my opinion, have the prices that they do, and other players are much lower, despite them potentially being better in real life. So, before we get into those reasons and why I believe what I believe, let's hit the intro. So I'm going to start this off with 2 points. Number one, if we think about who the best rookie has been this year, I think we can all say it's easily LaMelo Ball. But as far as who's going to win Rookie of the Year, it's sort of a three-man race. A lot of people still think LaMelo Ball is going to win it. If he shows up before the end of the season, he'll probably win it. But if we want to argue between Halliburton and Anthony Edwards, I think that's where the argument is really had right now because they're the two that are continuously playing. A lot of people, and I would venture to say like 99% of Top Shot would say Anthony Edwards belongs in first place of the Rookie of the Year debate. He deserves to win it. He has been putting up like 18 points a game. He's been incredible. And I'm not saying he shouldn't win it, but if we're talking about pure basketball talent, pure basketball player, I don't think between Halliburton and Anthony Edwards, it's as far a degree of separation as many people believe. Now, that might sound egregious because Edwards, again, is averaging nearly 20 points a game and Halliburton's sitting around like 13. But you look at the context of the situation and the efficiency or lack thereof, Anthony Edwards realistically hasn't been incredible, right? He's been on a team that has had D'Angelo Russell hurt, Karl Anthony Towns hurt, Malik Beasley suspended. He has been looked at as the only scoring option for a good majority of the year. He sucked at shooting threes to start the year. He was extremely inefficient. That game where he dunked on Yuta Watanabe or whatever his name is, he shot like terribly from the fields, but the only thing that mattered was him putting him through the fucking earth. And because of that, because of highlights like that, a lot of the other negatives, whether it be the lack of defense or the lack of ability to facilitate and run an offense, which isn't really asked of him because he's more of a shooting guard, small forward type. But a lot of those other negatives and holes in his game are patched up by the big highlight plays. That translates to Top Shot because he is currently priced a lot higher than Halliburton because Halliburton is more of a fundamental player. Great 3 point shooter, good facilitator of the ball, can rebound a little bit, good passer. But you look at the context of his situation, similarly shitty franchise, but he also shares the floor with a guy like De'Aaron Fox, who's like a top 5 or 6 point guard in the league right now, who also likes to get his shots up. He also has Buddy Love Hield, who wants to shoot 30, 40 times a game and take away shots from a guy like Halliburton. They have even Harrison Barnes, who wants to get his shots up, and they've all been on the court a good bit this year. I know Fox has been out recently, and we saw what Halliburton could do when he's not on the floor. He just had a pretty big game against the Warriors. So, although I do agree that Edwards is ahead of him in the Rookie of the Year debate, I think the discrepancy in price on Top Shot, especially given the fact that Anthony Edwards' first moment in rookie debut isn't really that good of a moment, I think doesn't make sense given the disparity of player that they are in real life. My second point, and the first one was pretty long winded, the second point is I've made this argument many times before. If we want to talk about the most recognizable players in the NBA right now, the five most recognizable current players, I think you could argue it would be some order of LeBron James, Steph Curry, Zion Williamson, maybe like Derrick Rose, but like Ja Morant and maybe LaMelo Ball. Sure, you can say Kevin Durant is up there or like a Carmelo Anthony, but other current good players like Anthony Davis, Giannis, Luca, sure, they're up there. But I do think guys like LaMelo Ball, either right now or in the near future, are going to surpass them in notoriety, not because of the player that they are, but because they're flashing, because they're marketable, because they do stuff off the court that gets them recognition. Derrick Rose, obviously huge in China, had that one MVP year where he was incredible, has still been pretty good throughout his career, but up and down with injuries. LeBron obviously is incredible. But then like Zion is 20 years old and is one of the most recognizable players in the NBA because he's been recognizable since high school. Ja Morant is one of the most recognizable guys in the NBA because he dunks on fucking everybody and he came out of a no-name college in Murray State, made them relevant, saw him play in real life, and the guy was so fun to watch that people want to watch him. And because people want to watch him, he's a good product for the NBA. They market him and he's well known. So, in my opinion, this is going to and already has shown in the pricing in Top Shot, right? We can look at guys like Miles Bridges, who recently, with Gordon Hayward out, has really turned up, averaging like 20 and 7 or something ridiculous like that, shooting over 40% from three. But aside from like those counting numbers, has had countless highlight dunks, has been on SportsCenter top 10 numerous times, has just really been a highlight reel as of late. And because of that, we see his 35K moment whereas all of them have like a $4 to $5 floor. His is sitting at $10, not only because he's been good in real life, but because the moment itself is cool. And we know him in real life is a flashy player. It becomes marketable. Obviously, the announcer Eric Collins for the Hornets has been a big part of this team being as marketable as they are because his calls are incredible. But we also see this play out, as I said, with Anthony Edwards over Halliburton because he's more flashy. We also see things like Dennis Smith Jr. being priced higher than Devontae Graham, where neither of them are like great players. And Devontae Graham is on the Hornets, which is a marketable team, I guess, because of what they've been doing recently. But Dennis Smith Jr., the type of player that he is going to draw more attention because he is kind of like a 6 foot tall version of Miles Bridges. We also see things like Kevin Porter Jr. priced higher than Pascal Siakam because he's more exciting. Just things like this. So, what I advise, or not really advise, but what I notice is if you want to invest in players and you kind of see a price discrepancy and disparity that doesn't make sense given their real life viability, like if you want to compare Kawhi Leonard to, let's say, Ja Morant, it's no question who's the better player in real life. It's Kawhi Leonard by a mile. But on Top Shot, it doesn't really reflect that because Kawhi Leonard is super boring, super methodical, super fundamental, and Ja Morant is going to only care about dunking on you and making highlight plays. Same with a guy like Paul George, also on the Clippers, is not going to be priced higher than maybe even like a Miles Bridges at some points. I know it's not the case right now, but like a Miles Bridges, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up surpassing him in the playoffs. If Miles Bridges has a huge moment and Paul George is just casually putting up 25, 5, and 5, people don't want to, at least currently, invest in players and moments that aren't flashy. Maybe that turns in the long run as this is marketed more towards NBA fans and they think like me and they're like, why the fuck is Kawhi Leonard cheaper than Ja Morant? They're both S2s. They both don't have any badges. They're the same scarcity. Why would I want to own a worse player over a better player? I think that may eventually work itself out in the end. So maybe that's a good investing strategy is to go for these boring but very good NBA players. But right now, and what I think is going to help you in the short term investing wise is going for these flashy players on teams that are likely to make the playoffs. So that means like LaMelo Ball or Terry Rozier or Miles Bridges on the Hornets or other teams we could also look at, like a Kelly Oubre, if the Warriors make it in. Whatever the case may be, look for these exciting players on teams that are going to be in the limelight when playoff time comes around. And I think that'll eventually work itself out and kind of help you in the short term. But maybe a better long term strategy would just play the alternative side of things, go for these less expensive but better real life players, and hope that the price discrepancy plays out in terms of their relative real life value rather than their excitement value on Top Shot. That's just what I've been noticing. This is just my thoughts, just my opinions on who's good in the NBA and why they should probably be priced higher, and who's not so good in the NBA but are priced maybe relatively appropriately because their value to Top Shot is tied into the fact that they're exciting in real life. That's all we got for today. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about something I believe a little bit more in, which are players I have a strong belief are going to improve price wise in the very short term for reasons beyond what I just mentioned today. That's all we got for today. We'll catch you guys tomorrow with a video that remains yet to be named. Catch you guys soon. Peace.
Chatham's on. Foolies glad I'm home. Even my haters kinda glad I'm on. Rest in peace to my vagabond. Rapper, song, singer, suspended, subpoenaed for misdemeanors. Dreamer, held back asses, Loki still a there. And I still shake a boat squat. Praying for my broke. Got city on the